Hey everyone, for this third video, we are going to talk about using therapy and helping kids with special needs during your homeschool time. I really believe that homeschooling is best for every family. Homeschooling looks different for every family, but it's the best choice just because you're able to tailor things exactly for what your kids need and you're able to give them the attention that they need. It just is so much more productive. You don't have all of those wasted moments that you do in a whole classroom of kids, and there's just so much flexibility there. And when you have a child with special needs, homeschooling really is the perfect fit because you can tailor everything to what they need, including incorporating therapy into their school time. So you can have their accommodations. Sometimes writing is really hard, so you can have you're writing for them while they're talking, or whatever their accommodation needs to be. You can incorporate break times, and then you're also building those relationships with your kids because you're with them all the time. They won't have to feel rushed by their peers. I know that's an issue sometimes in big classes when the teacher has to wait for everyone to be done before he or she can move on. So they're not rushed. They can take their time to complete whatever it is that they're working on. And they can take a time out when they need to without having any kind of special plan or disruption or whatever. We personally use a slant board for writing and coloring because we're working on my daughter's wrist control, and having that a little bit of elevation helps to force them to hold the pencil in a certain way or marker or whatever it is that they're using, and it just really focuses on that grasp and holding it correctly. You can make your own out of binders, or you can order them on Amazon. We also do active brain breaks, so like jumping, walking on a tightrope, we call it. Sometimes I'll make her stand on her tippy toes without moving. They're called like heel raises, I think. We're just doing things that her physical therapist has already showed us, and they've already worked on them. So we're just doing them at home to just give her extra practice with that. Jumping in place and keeping your legs closer together when you land. All kinds of things that you can do and different games you can play to make it fun. But having those breaks when they need it and then making that break productive is really like a win-win for me. We're also working on like grasping things. So I found these little tweezers, pretty sure they're from Amazon, and then these fun ones, they look like an alligator or a crocodile. So we use these to move cotton balls to one location or the other, or if we're working on a letter, we might cover the letter in cotton balls. If I want to make it challenging, I will put buttons on the table and have her use this to get the button, because then she's really got to concentrate and she's really got to have that grasp there. They're not as forgiving as cotton balls would be. So it's nice to have like little things like this that you can incorporate. When we're reading a book, I'm pointing out characters and having her talk about their feelings, so that she understands that you can read feelings a lot of times on people's faces, characters in the books. If they're smiling or if they're crying or if they're angry, you can usually pick that out pretty well. Some harder emotions like embarrassment or surprise, we work on those too. So just pointing it out when we're reading a book, what do you think this person's feeling, or how are they feeling? That's just getting them to pay attention and to articulate what they're seeing in the book. You can also practice having conversations while you're working. So conversational language, it can be hard for some kids with special needs because they just don't understand it, or they don't get it, or they don't see the point. Sometimes they just don't even engage in a conversation. So if you ask a child a question and they just blankly stare back at you, there could be like a delay happening where they're just taking more time to process the question. They could be distracted or thinking about something else. That is very common for any kind of child, typical children too. But with kids with special needs, I think sometimes there's just that extra time that they need. So practicing having a conversation where you talk back and forth. You ask a question, the child answers a question, they ask you a question, and then wait for the answer. All of those things can happen while you're doing school, while you're sitting and reading a book on the couch, all throughout your day. So it's nice to sneak those in whenever you can. We also like to practice sequencing and order words. So if I'm asking her to do something, so could you first put a napkin on the table and then get the waters, or something like that, that would be helping her to sequence in her head and keep all those directions in order. As she gets older, we'll add more and more directions, but right now we're just working on two, one and another. One right after the other, I mean. Then we're also working on coping strategies. So when she's frustrated, when she feels like things are getting out of hand emotionally, we're working on taking some deep breaths, counting, looking around the room to spot different colors, closing our eyes and thinking about a happier place. So those are things that we just kind of sprinkle throughout the day, and they also happen during homeschooling. So I guess what I'm trying to say with this video is, obviously your child, all children are individuals and all children have different needs. But if they have special needs, I just feel like you have that opportunity to help them even more by incorporating some of these strategies or tactics into your school time as well. If you have a child with special needs and there's something you do as you homeschool, please drop it in the comments